Welcome to our series, United States Jewish Lay Leaders, Opinions That Matter. I'm Baruch Gordon. Arutz Sheva believes that there is an intimate relationship between the State of Israel and the diaspora Jewish communities. In those communities are outstanding leaders who excel not only in their local businesses, but also in contributing the best of their time and resources on behalf of the State of Israel. With us today is Mr. Rubin Margules. He is president of the ARM Corporate Real Estate Development Company. As well, he serves as the president of Brooklyn ZOA, and he served in multiple communal leadership positions. Rubin, not long ago, U.S. Secretary of State Pompeo reversed a decades-old United States policy to now say that Jewish towns and villages in Judea and Samaria are not illegal. What's your take on this development?
I think it's a fantastic development. It's a development of historic proportions, and it's something that we at the ZOA and many other forums have been advocating for years and years. How can it be illegitimate to build, for Jews to build in Yehuda and Shomron? Yehuda, by its name, its historical name, represents Jews. Jew comes from the word Yehuda, Judea. And so there's a total contradiction in the fact that Jews aren't allowed to build in their own country. This can only happen in Israel. And this can only happen by a United Nations that's intimidated by an outside bloc of Arab members and the world that goes along with it because they disrespect us. They disrespect us. That's the only thing that can be said about it. And one of the chavals about the political situation here in Israel is that we can't take advantage of the opportunity that the Trump administration has given us to legitimize the building and the work that's been going on in Yehuda and Shomron.
Rubin, I recently heard you say that it's extremely important that Knesset members, even those on the left, refer to the region called the West Bank as its original name, Judea and Samaria. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes. They're referring to this area as Judea and Samaria. And once that happens, and we take back our language, we don't use the language of those who are negative, but we use our language. Sure, the West Bank, it's the West Bank of the Jordan, right? But it has negative connotations in terms of that we're taking somebody else's bank. We're not taking anybody's. We're here, Yehuda and Shomron, and here in Ariel, you can see it. You can see it. You can see it on the ground in Ariel and Bet El and these other places, what's going on, that we're here to stay, and there's no question anymore about legitimacy or illegitimacy. We are legitimate. It is up to the Supreme Court of Israel to determine specific legitimacy of any specific neighborhood or whatever. Okay, but Israel's rights to Yehuda and Shomron and to build in Yehuda and Shomron are not anymore in question.
Rubin, I've heard from the inside, so to speak, that President Trump is puzzled that despite that he's doing so much for the State of Israel, still an overwhelmingly large percentage of the Jewish community in America supports the Democratic ticket. So let's say you have a neighbor whose liberal values has voted Democrat his entire life. What would you tell your neighbor now as we enter an election year that's very crucial?
I would say that he should seriously rethink his positions and his attitudes. I think the Democratic Party, what was, and which I in the past have also supported, is not today the same Democratic Party. Especially first, I'd like to remind him what Trump has done for America. He's been fantastic for America. He's reestablished our global presence in a way that has not been there before. He has given us an economy that is second to none in the world. And so therefore, I don't think you can argue with that. The reality, as far as immigration is concerned, which liberals are talking about, oh, he's anti-immigrant. He's not anti-immigrant. He's pro-immigration, legal immigration. Legal immigration. Every country wants or has legal immigration. It is only the United States that has thrown open its doors to millions and millions of illegal immigrants. And that has to be controlled in some way. And that's his biggest achrayus, if you will. That's the biggest negative amongst the liberals. The other one is you have to look at policy. I would tell him you have to look at policy. not personality. Yes, he has a rough personality. Yes, he's been in the construction business in New York, which explains some of it. Okay? But the reality is, look at his policy. And if you're concerned about Israel, do you want a president that can throw Israel under the bus like Obama did in the last month of his administration? When he let the United Nations vote on a resolution condemning Israel and legitimizing Arabic concerns about the Temple Mount. Arabic, that the Kotel is an Arabic territory, not Jewish hands. Do you want an administration like that? You want an administration where every time they build a porch in Yehuda and Shomron, okay, it became a United Nations matter? Do you want a representation in the United Nations of a Nikki Haley? Or do you want representation of like we've had in the past that condemned Israel with the rest of the world? Do you want an administration that feels for us or not? Now, he's rough in his edges. There's no question about that. He may not be presidential, quote, unquote, but he accomplishes the task. He says what he means, and he means what he says, and he accomplishes what he says. And for the Jewish people, we have to thank those who thank us. We have to thank our friends. And God knows we need friends. There's no question. And if we have a friend, let's keep him. And so therefore, would you rather have a Democrat administration filled with people like Sanders, who openly says he's going to stop aid to Israel, or Israel is not acting humanely in Gaza? Gaza wants to destroy Israel. No matter who you could talk to, there's nobody to talk to about not destroying Israel. The indiscriminate firing of rockets is against civilian populations, not military targets. When Israel goes after a terrorist, they can get him into his bedroom. They don't destroy the rest of the building, and they don't kill where it's not necessary to kill.
Rubin, the state of Israel has always been a bipartisan issue in the United States. Both parties strongly support it. Do you see that continuing into this coming election? And if not, is that a matter of concern to you?
It's a tremendous concern, because it would always be better if it could remain a bipartisan issue. Because Israel's values are America's values. America's values are Israel's values. There's no question. We're all part of the Judeo-Christian inheritance and Judeo-Christian culture. We vote together similarly on issues. I think Israel is the number one partner of the United States on any issue in the United Nations. Okay? We do things together because we believe in each other. What's happening now, though, is that the Democratic Party is moving to its extreme left. For whatever reasons, they feel that's where the youth is, and therefore they want to capture the youth, and therefore everybody has to be in that mold on the left. And I don't consider that liberal. The liberal is to support a small state that is still has enemies on four sides, no matter how you look at it.
Anti-Semitism is certainly on the rise in America. Jews are being shot at and killed in synagogues, in a grocery market, in other places, beaten on the streets, certainly harassed. Something's changing in America. Do you have an explanation for that?
That's a very difficult question to answer. America has been very, very good for the Jews. It's been the golden Medina. My father, Arav Shalom, told me many times that there is no other country like America. He was a Shoah survivor. And he built himself up to where he came with penniless, and yet he found himself in the White House with the then President Bush. Okay? And he said, where else in the world can a Jew find himself in such a position? Things have changed since those days, but it's still a wonderful country to be a Jew in. You may have these anti-Semitic incidents, and why they're proliferating the way they are now, I really find it very difficult to give an answer to. Things are changing, the culture is changing, the learning is changing, but it is still a country that has offered haven for the Jewish people, and in which the Jewish people, I think, have contributed a lot to America. And I hope that that will continue. As far as recommending what to do, all I can say is this. My grandson, who lives in a very well-heeled community on Long Island, has decided to come to Israel as a Chayal Boded, as a lone soldier. Leaving a comfortable community and a comfortable life to come to Israel to be a soldier is not an easy task. What he does after that, whether he goes to IDC, whether he goes to university here in Israel, or decides to come back to the States, it's up to him. I believe we need a strong and vibrant and committed community in the United States. That instance of anti-Semitism it's not a question of the government controlling those incidents, the way it was, God forbid, in Germany. Okay, there it was the government's policy of anti-Semitism. Here you have lone attacks, for whatever reasons, that are condemned swiftly and unequivocally by our government, by President Trump and by the administration. They have not let any incident go by without the full condemnation of the government. We need those communities to provide support, to provide commitment, and anything else that our ancient homeland requires, we should give. And we should do that now, and we should continue to do it ad 120 shana.
One last question. How do you see the role of an American Jew vis-a-vis the State of Israel?
I think we should not hide. We should not be ashamed of who we are. We should stand up, be committed, and do whatever we can. We should associate ourselves with organizations such as the Zionist Organization of America, such as AIPAC, on a different level, such as commit ourselves and our pocketbooks to the different institutions that are building Israel, that continue to build Israel, do such a great job of doing it. And mostly, we should be as influential as we can as Americans and as Jews, not to shy away from the issues. We have the problems with Iran, we have problems with the Hezbollah, we have problems in Lebanon, we have problems with the Hamasnikim, we have all kinds of problems. They continue. We have to worry about it. We have to make our own commitments. And like my father said, there is only one Jewish Medina, which is why we can come here to Israel and feel so comfortable, so Hamish, and because this is our land. No matter how American we are, and we all want to go back now for our Thanksgiving dinners, and we all eat the turkey, but Israel is in our DNA. It's in our DNA, and it's something that we should be proud of, and we should understand, and we should do what we can to reinforce that attitude.
Rubin Margules, president of the Brooklyn chapter of the ZOA, a real estate developer in the New York area, thank you for your time and thank you for being with us.